If you were to hop aboard an old preserved train carriage, you might notice something rather unusual. You have your first-class compartments for people who don't pay taxes, and you have third-class compartments for everyone else. But you'll notice that there are no second-class carriages. A rather unusual thing to miss out on. But as it turns out, the story behind the lack of second-class seating is thanks to our old friends, government regulation, and capitalist loopholes. Because of how dominant the classist attitudes were at the time, in the early 1800s, railways offered three types of services. First class, which was expensive, offered luxury seats and high-quality service. Second class, which was moderately comfortable and slightly higher than moderately priced. And third class for the working peasants. At the time, third-class carriages were essentially just open wagons with little to no seating in them, meaning you either sat on the floor or stood up. And if it was raining, well, you better hope you packed an umbrella. By 1844, railways practically connected most places in Britain, and so W.E. Gladstone helped Parliament pass a bill known as the Railway Regulations Act. The Act basically made railway companies run at least 2 or 3 third-class trains a day that stopped at every station on their lines, as well as improve the quality of third-class carriages to have roofs, seats, and actually be accommodating. The price of a third-class ticket was 1d per mile, and the train should travel at no less than 12 miles an hour. Gladstone believed that by making rail travel more accessible to the working class, they would have better opportunities to find work and overall improve the country's labour forces. Railway companies obviously hated this idea, as rail travel was seen as a rather luxurious way of getting around, and having a bunch of dirty commoners using the rails would tarnish that image. They also worried that people who could afford first and second class tickets would now travel third class as it was more accommodating and cheaper. But because it was law, railway companies had to run third-class services. Most companies ran third-class services late at night or early in the morning, so that they were impractical to those that would use them, but also meaning that they were obeying the law by running the trains. These were known as parliamentary trains, simply because they were trains that were ran to please Parliament. A few railway companies did embrace these new laws, however, such as the Midland Railway, which provided 3 compartments, glazed windows, and oil lamps in the carriage roofs for third-class passengers. Some railway companies employed chimney sweeps to sit in some of their third-class carriages so that middle-class workers would pay the extra bit for second class to avoid getting dirty. Eventually, by 1875, railway companies realised there was no use in fighting the Regulations Act, and decided to upgrade the standards of third-class carriages by relabelling second-class carriages as third-class. It was scandalous at the time, but this way, railway companies could run the third-class services required by the government without needing to run additional trains. The price of third-class tickets went up slightly due to this change and general inflation, but it was still cheap enough for the working class to use them. Because second-class carriages were now relabeled as third-class, second-class travel simply no longer existed outside of boat trains, leaving the rather unusual system of first and third-class compartments, but no second class. This system was kept in place all the way until 1956, when third class was eventually renamed standard class to remove the classist connotations. First and third class travel was simply just another quirk of railways brought about by laws and loopholes. Just goes to show that, no matter the law, some clever dick is just gonna find their way around it. Subscribe for more.